Well, David, before we go into the new album, just would like to go to a time period before Tindersticks. Do you still recall your first meeting with Stuart?
Yeah, I suppose around living in Nottingham in the early 80s, people that were into kind of alternative cultures or things a bit different gathered around the same sort of places, the same pubs, the same venues to see bands, and I started to see Stuart around at that time.
What pub or what
there was
venue, maybe?
I suppose the place to go in Nottingham eventually, there were various places, but Rock City was a big place, which is still around now in Nottingham. There was a bar called JC's that we used to go to. Well, even before that, there was quite a few. There was various places. There was probably about 6 different places, which were all kind of dotted around the outskirts of the Nottingham city centre, because you never really went into the centre, because it was, if you looked a bit different, you just got beaten up for whatever reason, just because you're slightly different. So we generally were around the pubs on the outside, on the outskirts.
Okay, so there's not one specific meeting that you recall. It was just slowly you got to know each other by hanging out in the same pub.
Well, he was in a different band that I used to go and see, so I knew him, and he also worked in a record shop that I used to buy all my records. It was the place to go to get your records, called Selectordisc in Nottingham, and he used to work there. So I see him. I probably spoke to him a few times when I bought records, but we were kind of aware of each other, but we didn't really socialise together. We knew who we were, but we weren't friends or anything. And I was in a band, and the drummer in the band that I was in was the brother of the bass player in the band that Stuart was in. And when they needed somebody to play keyboards, they just asked me, and that's kind of when I first met him.
What made you click music-wise?
The thing with Stuart was, I'd never really understood him in a way that, as a singer, he didn't sing, he used to shout a lot. His music was, I used to like the music of his band, but he kind of just shouted a lot, which I didn't really get. But I suppose when we got together, we played a few songs, and one of them was a song that we later recorded as Tindersticks called For Those Not So Beautiful. And it was the first time I felt like I'd played on a real song, that this guy actually wrote real songs. Before that, it was just kids messing around, basically. We were just kind of inspired by punk, and my other bands were kind of just trashy bands. There wasn't any real direction, we were just making noise, basically. And with Stuart, I felt as though there was something more, that I understood what I wanted to do, that I wanted to be involved with somebody that could write songs like this.
And so what is then, do you talk about it? What makes you musically click, or is it just something that happens?
I think it's something that happens. I think it's something that kind of probably happens to us individually when we were very young, that you kind of listen to music on the radio, you have your sisters, your parents playing music, and you get involved in it, and you find your own little things. And when I was 15 at school, there was probably, out of a school of 1,000 kids, there was probably 5 kids that I felt I understood, and we liked the same things. And then you move on from school, and you find these people that, you find these places to go, and you find friends that like the same kind of things, the same films, the same music, and it kind of builds from there. And I think we don't really talk about it because we know that we come from the same sort of place, the same feelings, so we don't really need to talk about it.